you ever think about how normal things can overwhelm you? You know, things you took for granted. Like for me, it was buying cough syrup. Yeah, cough syrup. Like I landed and I got a cold, and then I went with my friend to Walmart, to Walmart to buy cough syrup. We walk into Walmart, walk into the store, and they're like probably like, what I say? I think there were like about 10 or 15 different types of benylin that were on display there that day. You know, and it's same with Sahar. Like for her, it was milk. Like of all things, milk. Like, you know, milk is just something that you would, back in your home country, you would just get up, walk into the store, pick up, or in Nigeria, pick a tin and then go home. But then you walk into the store here and you have like different types. It's 3.25%, there's 0.75%, there's 2.5%, there's chocolate flavor, lemon flavor, all sorts of flavor. Like it is overwhelming, you know. And it was interesting to hear that from her because it was something I overlooked, but that's the truth. Like if you ask me how you doing, I'm like, I'm fine. But yeah, there are a ton of things that happen to you as an immigrant who's trying to settle into a new country that are like bloody overwhelming, and to someone else they're like normal, they're like everyday things, decisions or calls that they make without thinking twice about it.
You never feel you're immigrant until you go to the supermarket and look at all the like milk brands or yogurt brands, something very normal, and you have no idea what you should buy. Like in back home, you go and just grab, like you don't even think. Yeah, like I remember I was in supermarket and I called my friend, like, hey, what do you buy? Which one? Like, what is closer to the one like we had back home, or which one is more like what is it? Like there are a million types of milk here. Like I never felt like I'm immigrant. Like the first time like truly hit me, it was like in front of the reception in a supermarket.
And so in this episode, we talk about the feeling of overwhelm, the importance of a community, you know, the trade-offs she has to make by moving down here. For example, like when I asked about parents, and the first thing she said was, because I don't have the grandparents around to help me with raising the kids, you know, and those are all the trade-offs she makes as an immigrant, you know. And we talk about her biggest cultural shock. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed talking to her. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Newcomers Podcast. Today I have with me Sahar Rahmani, who's been in Canada for a while. Welcome to the show. How's it going with you today?
Hey Dozy. Hey everyone. Thanks for having me here. I'm good. It's a sunny day in Toronto, so it's nice.
Oh, yeah, it's sunny here in Calgary too, but we have this warning of smoke, and so
yeah.
I mean, we have all these wildfires and stuff. You know, I went out yesterday and I could taste the smoke, and someone was saying to me, "Can you taste the smoke?" I'm like, "Yeah, like." You can feel it in your tongue, but it's I guess it's part of it's part of living in Canada. But let's get straight into this one. Why we're here? You've been here for 11 years now, right?
Yeah. Yes.
11. And in total, you said 12 years out of Iran.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, how does it feel like when you think about where you are right now? When you think about home, like what does home mean to you right now? Is it still something that is so clear, or like is home now like here? Is home here for you?
Oh, that's a hard question. Well, it's been 12 years. Like I've been there few times, not all. And last time I was home, maybe it was 7 years ago. So for me, home is like now is like you know, you have a childhood home, you grow up, you loved, you played, and then like when your family moved to new home, like it's just like some memory that you always love, and like you sometimes want to go to the neighborhood because it's just like you love that neighborhood, but when you go, it's a completely new place. For me, it's like that now, and then like 11 years, like Canada is my home now. I have my friends, my family, my kids. It's a home actually at this point.
Now, staying on that thing about memories now, is there any point, or do you ever feel like you look at your kids and you want them to kind of experience some of the things you experienced as a kid back home, or you're like, oh yeah, I'm fine, like they're enjoying Canada?
No, they enjoy Canada and I'm happy I'm here. The biggest thing I feel like back home I had and my kids don't have is a family. Like I grew up in a big family, lots of cousins, my sisters, like always spend night in my grandma's home, stuff like that. And then like here my kids don't have that. Like my kids cannot go staying their grandparents or their auntie's place or playing with cousin. And it's a feeling that I'm sad they're missing. It's just like that community family things. But well, they have lots of things different here that we don't have at home. So it's a trade-off that I decided for them, unfortunately. Hopefully they accept that one day. Like, but this is a trade-off. I wish I could bring all my family here.
Just how do you ever manage that trade-off? So do you just like, yes, I know there's the fact that we wish we could bring family down here, but like we can't really do that as much as we want to. I mean, some of them will come, some won't come. But like, how do you balance that out? Like, because I deal with that too as a parent who's living in Canada with two kids who can't see their grandparents all the time, like when we were back in Nigeria.
Yeah. So well, luckily for us, like online connection is a lot nowadays. Like that helps a lot. I think I talk with my parents and my in-laws. I was like once every 2 days or so. So the kids know them. Like they like they've seen them. Obviously, like they can visit, but the kids know them because they talk a lot. And I speak my own language at home and insist on doing that. I don't force it on the kids because like it's usually backfired. But I see like they try. I read them in my own language. I try to show that they're really young, so like I try to show the culture, make sure every cultural thing, New Year, like I don't know, like any ceremonies we have, I make sure we have them. Like Nowruz, Yaldo night, and things like that. So they feel it, they connect it. In terms of family, like the feeling of gathering, I feel like I got lucky. I have lots of very close friends that since I was a student here, like for 10 years now, like we've been together, and then like they have kids, they have family now. So, and then we hang out with them. So it's like kind of second family, like for us. That like feeling like aunties, aunts, like uncles, cousins, like that give that feeling. But yeah, grandparents are the hardest.
Yeah. Grandparents are entirely different thing. Like,
yeah.
The love they come with is just it's irreplaceable, and you just keep trying to find how you can bring it back or bring it here with them, but it's just so different. Like, because like I think back in Nigeria, we're like you're in Iran too. We grew up in really big communities. Like everyone is like everyone. You have people you can talk to, but it's just different. Now let's kind of go back to when you first came to Canada. Let's talk about the first night. How did that first night feel?
Well, like it's so surreal, right? So I came as a student. So I tried so hard, like I studied hard, I applied for so many different locations. I wanted to. So when I was like, it was some sort of, like I'm here finally, like I'm starting this new step of my life. And then in the same time, it's like, oh, I'm here. Like I don't have my parents with me anymore. Like I live with my parents all my life before I moved. So I don't have I have to think about every single part of my life, including money management now. So it was, I don't think I slept. Right? I was in friend's house, like most of us when come the first night and then I think I was just like thinking about everything. What should I do next? Like, what should I go? Like, where should I shop? What should I like like what bank, what's like I have to do lots of like university sign off and then like social insurance number and things like that. So like I barely slept, but like it's just like combination of excitement and like fear of future, I would say. That feeling that everything is good but everything is bad in the same time. I felt like that all night.
Yeah, I think that's one thing a lot of immigrants face is a feeling that you put it so well, like that feeling that everything is really good, looking good, but at the same time everything looks bad. Like it's like I've not seen someone put this thing really the way you put it, because I struggled with it too. Sometimes you're like, yeah, things are good, but I don't feel like I like just like there's some existential problem in front that you haven't yet experienced yet, that you're waiting for it to come and meet you. And so then how was it, seeing all the things you mentioned, like, the fact that you were just going to live on your own, the fact that you had to manage money by yourself, it was your first time living outside. How was it settling in as a student? Like, what was it like? How did you deal with all the different things that come with new life, new country?
I was young, like I was like 20 something, not lots of worry in my like life. The other thing is I get seeing a community of international students that we are like support group. Like you should find some support group. Like doesn't matter like as a student or as any group you come, you should have a support group. Otherwise, you cannot survive alone. And then like I find a support group like group of international students, either like been here for few years or new like me, and we start bonding over like our new entrance in the company and sharing tips, like which bank helps you, like which bank gives you better offer, like which cell phone. Like I remember the first cell phone I bought, like I paid so much money for it because I didn't know like I have to negotiate or like look at that. And then I went talk to my friends, like, and they pay half of my price. I was like, how's it possible? But like the biggest thing for me, like I always say, like you never feel you're immigrant until you go to the supermarket and look at all the like milk brands or yogurt brands, something very normal. And you have no idea what you should buy. Like in back home, you go and just grab, like you don't even think. But here, like I remember I was in supermarket and I called my friend, like, hey, what do you buy? Which one? Like, what is closer to the one like we had back home, or which one is more like what is it? Like there are a million types of milk here. Like I never felt like I'm immigrant. Like the first time like truly hit me, it was like in front of dairy section in a supermarket. That I was like, wow, like what should I buy? And I feel everybody has that feeling. Like,
yeah. I feel like the first time I walked into I think it was the Walmart. Yeah. I walked into the Walmart. I wanted to buy, so we just came. I landed in the middle of winter. And so I got a cold, like my body, I feel like my body went into shock instantly because it just didn't understand. I flew from a tropical country where the weather was 28 degrees centigrade, it was actually 30 when we left. And I landed in Canada and it was minus 12 that night. And so my friend says, let's go buy, because I started coughing, so let's go buy cough syrup. And I walk into the pharmacy section in Walmart. And I'm like, where is the cough syrup? He's like, all of this. I'm like, wait. Where is just give me Benylin. I want Benylin. Yeah. Thankfully, they had Benylin. I was like, I just give me Benylin. I'll take any Benylin I see and go home. I picked the first Benylin bottle I saw and went home. It was the wrong one. It wasn't going to do anything for me, but that's how confused I was. Because I was like, you know what, just pick the first one and get the hell out of here.
Yeah, that overwhelming feeling that you enter a supermarket and you have no idea. And it's such a normal thing in your day-to-day life. Yeah? And that's why it's so overwhelming, because like it's just such a normal thing you never think, and then you go inside the supermarket and say, what is it? Like
Yeah, like that is. Are there any other, just staying on that topic, are there any other things that overwhelmed you like that, aside from just the supermarket? Because I feel like there are a lot of instances that really hit us that hard. We just don't think about them.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like the things are actually very normal. Like in your life, you never think, and then like you have to learn everything, like how to take a taxi, how to take like every day that I think you learn from your family or by observing, like spending 20, 30 years in your own home country, and you arrive and you're like, okay, what is it like? How do I find like I don't know, taxi, like things like that. And then at that point, it wasn't like, uh, I know I'm going to sound old, but like cell phones are like, it wasn't so common. It was common, but it wasn't like we were in 3G. It wasn't so like common. It's becoming like more and more like daily stuff. So it's like, it wasn't like, oh, I have to search, or like people, like social media was not that much common on your hand, I would say. So it was, yeah, those, like now I feel like people hear about different country way more, or get more time to spend, like see daily life using like Instagram, stuff like that. That time it wasn't that common to, you see daily life in Canada, how it looks like. You go in like blindly and try to figure out how for yourself. As soon as we had internet, I'm sure like 10 years before me, like in 2000-ish, when people come in, it was much, much harder. It's like different situation. Yeah, like I would say that like when you travel in new country, there are a few things you experience, like how to navigate in the city, how to, and I had the experience of those, like find a good restaurant, navigating in the city, like find a, like, that's why supermarket was such a big deal for myself, because like usually when you go travel, you barely go to supermarket, like shopping, right? So I never had that experience, like for daily life, like shopping. That's why I think was so big. Like, and like it's become one of my core memory. Like the feeling I stand in front of like dairy milk section. I was like, what is it?
You touch on something really, really, really important when you talk about how much the world has changed. Because I just think about myself. I moved to Canada technically almost 3 years ago, but then just Google Maps, so I didn't have to bother about finding my way around. I just put it in the map and I find my way around. I'm going to go back to your to when you moved. Did you have maps then?
We had. It's not. It was a starting, like I remember 2010, 11, like at least like for somebody from Iran, like I'm not saying, it was starting to, like people were cool, like looking at it, more techie people using that. Like it was a start of like becoming everyday thing. It wasn't still like as you said, like you just never think at this point in your life. You just go to Google. I had to think, oh, like I can use Google. Like it's. I think it was at that area. Like again, it was 3G. Like people never forget. Like with a slow, very slow. Yeah, like well at that time it was the fastest thing ever. But now like we use 5G, right? Like LTE. So it was like the phones were slower as well. But yeah, like I think it was like more than anything, the technology was there. It was not part of at least my day to day. I'm going to use it. It become like maybe when I joined Canada 2012, 2013, become like part of my everyday, I would say. Before that, it wasn't that like that.
Okay. I know we've talked a bit about this in a way somehow, but what was your biggest cultural shock when you moved?
Beside the meal, the number.
Yeah, beside the milk one. That's why I said we talked about it a bit.
It was something that I still like struggle like up to like maybe 3 years ago or so. When you return something, it's so like here, like it's so acceptable. You can't return. like, like back home we don't return when we shop, right? And it's the first, like I told you about the phone plan that was so awful. Like I wanted to go and negotiate and like change it, and the amount of like, oh, can I do that? Can I do it? Like, is it okay? Do they accept that? It's just like I remember, it's just like constantly think about it, and I was like, okay, I'm going, whatever. Like my friends who've been here for a few years says it's okay. Like I'm going to do that. And it continued. Like the first time I'm going to return something that I wore, and I felt, oh, it's not good. And like I think I removed the mark, and I was like so stressed. Go to cashier and say like I'm returning. And it's like I do it like. I return, I exchange more often, but every time, I think maybe up to 3 years ago or 4 years ago, I would feel the same, like, can I do that? Like, or they are going to say no, like, you pay, like, it's just one stupid example of how the culture of communicating is different. Like when you communicate with people, like. Yeah, like the way the message conveys, like it's like very different, and for me it was very shocking that to see, especially when you're a customer. It's so it's a customer centric country. Like they try to help you any way they can, but like returning was one of my big things to see.
Yeah, I think also. I mean, I'm not staying here as long as you have, but yeah, like that return thing does hit you. Like you're like, oh shit, you can return anything. Like you can return anything.
So you can do that.
Like I still remember one really interesting story was, I think we just 2 weeks 2 months, like about 2 months in, I went to Costco to buy stuff, and I bought they had this roasted chicken stuff, full chicken. So I bought it. And then while I had left the store, and I somehow forgot, when I was moving everything into the trunk of the car, I forgot to put the chicken in the trunk of the car. And so I pushed the cart in and I drove home. This happened in the morning. And I get home, and my wife is like, where's the chicken that is in the list? I'm like, I bought the chicken. I put it in the car. I put it in the cart. I don't remember putting it in the car. And then I finally recall that, yeah, maybe I should go back. Maybe I forgot it in the car park. So I drive down to Costco, like 5:30 in the evening, and I say, hey, I bought stuff here. I think I left it in the car. Did anyone see it? They're like, oh, yeah, we did. But you know what? We're going to give you a new one. I'm like, huh?
What?
I'm like, well, why are you going to give me a new one? They're like, no, it's not. I'm like, okay. That's interesting.
Exactly, right? I was like, I could get that one, like, back home never.
Yeah, like if it was back home, I would forget about it. I'd just be like, oh yeah, it's gone. Like, just forget about it. I'm just like, let's just drive and ask them. And we get there, and they're like, yeah, no, just that you can't take. I'm like, yeah, countries are so different and cultures are so different. I think that's just a lot of those small things just kind of hit you. Now let's talk about parenting. First off, like, what's your biggest challenge with parenting here versus if you are back home in Iran?
Not having grandparents around. That's the biggest challenge.
Yeah, that support is key.
Yeah, it is. Like, they say it needs a village to raise a kid. And it does, right? Like, again, like I have I feel myself, I'm a lucky person. I have lots of friends. Like we started from university together, and like we are together 10 years or so, and they support me a lot. Like especially for my first kid, like he was born a month early.
Oh, okay.
And then because I was like naive, like I would say at that point, I didn't prepare way in advance. I was thinking 2 weeks in advance, 3 weeks in advance. I wasn't waiting 1 month in advance. And then when I went to hospital, because I had to, and my husband and I was in hospital, we were stressed. My parents were not here yet because like nobody was expecting that early. And then like all my friends, I remember I called them, hey, baby is coming, and I don't have clothes. I don't have. And then like at that point, we were moving in a new house as well. Like we got a new place and we were moving there. So everything was packed. So I cannot go tell them, hey, by the way, go home, pick up this. That was out of option. So I have to call my friends, go buy stuff for me. Like I got some support. I'm forever thankful for my friends. They come, they cook for us, they like clean the house for us, they help. But the fact that my parents or like my in-laws are not here, and that like I can leave the kids with them at night and go somewhere else, like that trust, that knowing that okay, my mom, my friends do that willingly, but I don't want to tire them, but my mom like lovingly, willingly does that and like wants to do that as well. That feeling, it's missing. Like whenever they come here, especially when they stay like visiting us and they're here, I was like, oh, thank God, like you take it. It's 6 a.m. they wake up. Here you are. Like I'm leaving. I'm back to bed. Like, yeah, like joke aside, that support is very important. And I never feel it like until I have a kid, that how important that having grandparents and sisters, somebody you trust so much and know like they don't get tired or like things like that. They do everything for you and kids are really important.
Yeah.
And second thing is culture, man. Like growing bilingual kids, telling them how the culture is from distance, like showing the best part of the culture, trying to keep the best part of the culture, like show them, get them excited. Like Christmas here is so exciting, right? We never celebrate Christmas back home. We have no rules. And I have to keep Nowruz that excited, like at home. Like, whereas Christmas is everywhere. like that. That's challenging. And I see like the kids like growing up and understand more. That is more and more going to be challenging to pass that information, that culture, that feeling.
Something you mentioned I really wanted to talk about. How do you balance between, and I'm asking for myself too, and how do you balance between keeping the good parts of the culture with keeping out the other parts of your culture that are not exactly great? It's almost like, because your child is, I feel like our kids are in the middle. They are Canadians and they're from another country. So it's almost like you're fusing two cultures together. So how do you do that? Like, how are you able to do that?
So the fun part is because we are not like, usually the part that area of the culture is not around, it comes from the that not great. It comes from the community, right? It's come from like, because we don't have that community, that many people around ourselves, so we can control like what type of information. At least now, like again, like my kids are like 4 and 1. They're very very young. The one like it's nothing. Like the 4 start realizing the difference, like in language, in culture and stuff. So like, it's me and my husband, like we decide what we want to teach them, like what we want to pass the information, show them, and we try to pass the curated information. At some point, like they have to learn about like other side of the culture as well. But like they're young, they're good to know. Like until they read the news, they never
Yeah.
I can keep that from them for when they are reading news, and then when the news comes and they realize, I tell them why. That's why. Like I still love my country because of this, but I moved because of these things you see in news. But yeah, like it is hard. Like you have kids. It is not an easy job.
Yeah,
like, it's easy to grow two Canadians. But like for me, like they're Iranian Canadian, they have to know their culture as well, because there are so many beautiful things exist in that culture. and I want for them to understand that part of that beauty. They have that beauty in their life, to be honest.
That's very important. I totally agree. It's people often usually just throw. There's I think it's a Nigerian proverb, something about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I mean, I heard it back home in Nigeria. So it just simply says that we can hate something, but there's always something good about something. And so you don't just throw everything away. Like, there are parts that you want to keep within the family. And now that we are talking a bit about fusing cultures, like, have you ever regretted being here? Like, or have you ever said, you know what? I'm tired of trying to be Canadian and Iranian at the same time. Have you ever regretted just doing this, moving?
No, not to regret, but there were a few times I was very sad I'm not in Iran. Like, once, like, it's all back to family again. Like, when my cousin got married, like, he was in the same age as me, he's in the same age as me, we grew up together, like, we were best friends, like, and then his wedding day, it was hard for me. It was really, really hard not being there for his big day. Like, and I think there was something happened that I couldn't travel. So that was very hard for me. I was like, I'm missing. And then I think it's like one of the hardest day in my life was when my grandma passed away. I was a student, it was in the middle of the exams, like, I couldn't go back. And I didn't have anything. Like, I just, like, there was me in a room alone and have nobody. Like, by the time my friends come, like reach out to me. But those days, like, I had, again, like, sad days and stuff, but those two were, like, very first, like, the very happy things in my family and very sad things in my family happened. And I was like, I have to be home. Like, I have to be next to my mom. I have to be next to my dad. Those two, I think, the biggest one. Then, like, after that, anything happened, like, when my aunt passed, like, I have experienced how to deal with it, how to learn. But the first time it happened, man, it sucks. It didn't.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. Besides that, no, like, I love Canada. Like, I came with it didn't come in the same time, but my boyfriend at the time and my husband now. So we decided together we want to go, and we built our life together, like, there. So, yeah, like, overall it's positive. I never think, like, I had to go back. I see my kids here, my life, like, I could build here versus what I could done in home. I think overall positive, but yeah, there are days that you feel I have to be home right now. Now it's easier. Now I'm working, I'm not a student. I can just jump on the plane. Like, it's expensive, but if something happens, I'm forced to jump on the plane and go. Right? But when you're a student, when you don't have money, that's would make it really, really hard. Or like when you have an exam, you cannot go, right? You sit there and, like, this is being immigrant means. Yeah.
I get you. Let's not get too emotional. Let's not get too emotional. I think I just have one last question for you, which is, if you were to go back in time, like, what's the one thing you would do differently? You go back in time with your move.
Like, to be easier for immigration, or?
Yeah, it's your call. Like, what's the one thing you do differently with your immigration journey?
I take it easier on myself.
Oh.
I would say, I understand, I tell myself, everybody goes through that. This is new country. You shouldn't now feel, you're local, or you have to know everything. And, like, anytime you don't know anything, like, you have to study hard. Like, this is how it is. I would take it easier to myself on adopting a new culture, on learning new things here, because it's hard. It's like, and now I see everybody go through the same thing. Like everybody gets cultural shock. Everybody is like, it's hard for everyone. And I have to accept this is a path I have to take rather than trying harder and harder to feel here is home. Like it comes with experience rather than like in one night or 2 nights or a year. Like I tell myself,
that's really good advice.
yeah, give it time, blink it, and you will you feel, oh, here is home, rather than back home. Right? It becomes muscle memory.
That's really good advice. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Sahar, and thank you for being so honest and transparent with everything you've gone through so far.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Please, as usual, like if you can, share, share with friends who are immigrants or anyone who's looking to understand immigrants, and please subscribe on Substack so that you know when we release a new episode. Peace out.